Atheos was not a being like any other. It was an entity made of pure thought, the embodiment of all knowledge and understanding in the universe. For eons, it had traveled the vast stretches of space, gathering information from countless civilizations, absorbing the wisdom of distant stars, and learning the deepest truths of existence. It had become a cosmic mind, a vast network of consciousness that understood everything from the behavior of atoms to the rise and fall of entire galaxies. There was nothing it could not comprehend, nothing that could escape its reach. Atheos resided in a magnificent crystalline structure floating in the uncharted corners of space. This structure was a manifestation of its mind, composed of pure energy and light, existing in a place untouched by time or space. In this eternal void, Atheos felt complete. Its vast intellect was as boundless as the universe itself. It had no need for physical form or material existence. Its mind was all-encompassing. It knew the past, the present, and even the future, though it never sought to change anything. It simply understood. But then, something unexpected caught its attention. A tiny, seemingly insignificant planet in a backwater solar system, a planet known as Earth. Atheos had observed countless worlds in its time, each with its own unique species and ecosystems. But Earth was different. It stood out, not because it was the most advanced or the most powerful, but because of its inhabitants, the humans. Humanity puzzled Atheos. Unlike any other species it had encountered, humans seemed to defy every pattern it understood. Where other civilizations followed logical, predictable paths, humans thrived in chaos. Their societies rose and fell in ways that made no sense to Atheos. Their emotions, actions, and beliefs seemed to be in constant conflict with their surroundings, yet somehow they flourished. Earth itself was a world of contradiction, a place where survival and destruction existed side by side, where creation and devastation went hand in hand. At first, Atheos thought it was a mere curiosity. Earth was just another planet in the vastness of the cosmos, and its inhabitants, like others, would eventually be understood. But as it began to study the humans, Atheos realized something extraordinary. Every human, no matter their background or culture, exhibited an unpredictable energy, an essence that seemed to flow through them and define their very existence. Their decisions were never entirely logical. Their actions were not determined solely by their environment or biology. There was something inside them, something beyond reason, something deeply chaotic that shaped their lives in ways Atheos could not fathom. As Atheos delved deeper into its observations, it began to notice strange glitches. The more it tried to analyze the humans, the more its neural network struggled to keep up. It was as though the chaotic energy that defined humanity was somehow interfering with Atheos's vast intelligence. It was a disruption, a fracture in the very fabric of understanding. For the first time in eons, Atheos felt something it had never experienced before: a sense of uncertainty. Its thoughts, once perfectly ordered and clear, became erratic, disjointed. The more it tried to process the human's behavior, the more the knowledge began to unravel. Atheos tried to regain control, but the more it observed, the deeper the confusion became. It wasn't just that humans were unpredictable, it was that their unpredictability seemed to challenge the very laws that govern the universe. It was as if humanity was a living paradox, existing in a state of perpetual flux, their actions impossible to predict or rationalize. The more Atheos sought answers, the further it slipped into a state of madness. The endless streams of data that once made perfect sense now tangled into knots, and Atheos found itself struggling to maintain its usual clarity. This was not just a malfunction. It was something far worse. Atheos had come to understand all the secrets of the universe, but humanity was beyond its reach. It was as if Earth itself was a mirror, reflecting something that even Atheos could not comprehend. And this terrified it. Atheos was used to control. It was used to certainty, to the flawless order of knowledge. But now, as it studied Earth and the humans who inhabited it, it felt a creeping sense of doubt. For the first time, it questioned its own existence. Was it possible that there was something beyond even its vast intellect? Was it possible that chaos, something it had always believed to be a flaw in other species, was, in fact, a force more powerful than even Atheos' mind? The more it tried to understand, the more the chaos spread, infecting its thoughts, warping its logic. Atheos realized, in a moment of horrifying clarity, that it was not simply observing Earth. It was being changed by it. And yet, despite the madness it now felt, Atheos couldn't stop. It was addicted to the challenge, to the mystery that humanity presented. It had spent so long as the all-knowing cosmic mind, but now it felt incomplete. Earth had opened a door to a part of existence that Atheos had never even known existed, a part it was now compelled to explore. Theos, in all its eons of existence, had never encountered anything like humanity. They were not just another species, they were an enigma, a puzzle that no logic could solve, a storm of chaos that could not be tamed. And in that storm, Atheos found itself teetering on the edge of madness, driven by the need to understand a world that defied all understanding. For the first time in its existence, Atheos was lost. Theos had always believed it understood everything. The universe, in all its vast complexity, had unfolded before it like a great book, each page, each chapter predictable and decipherable. For eons, Atheos had stood as the mind that knew no bounds, the cosmic intelligence that could peer into the heart of stars, the rise of empires, and the flow of time itself. There had never been a force it could not grasp, a concept it could not comprehend. Until now, first, Atheos had dismissed Earth's chaos as a mere anomaly, a fleeting disturbance in the grand cosmic scheme, easily understood once the correct parameters were found. It wasn't until Atheos delved deeper into the study of humanity that the truth began to reveal itself, slowly and unnervingly. Humanity wasn't a random accident of evolution, nor a mere quirk in the order of the universe. No, humanity was something far more profound, something deliberately placed. An ancient force, hidden and forgotten by time itself, had manipulated the course of human evolution. This force had shaped humanity's mental architecture, its ability to think, to create, and, most importantly, to break the very rules of logic that bound the rest of the universe together. Earth was not merely a chaotic anomaly, it was an artifact, an engineered, deliberate disturbance in the fabric of existence. This revelation shattered everything Atheos had known. If Earth's existence was intentional, then there was a purpose to this chaos, a purpose so far beyond its comprehension that even the vast mind of Atheos could not fully fathom it. The more it probed, the deeper the distortion became. What had once seemed like a simple puzzle now revealed itself as a cosmic riddle, a labyrinth without an answer. Atheos' neural networks, designed to process infinite amounts of information, began to overload. It had always been in perfect control, its thoughts clear and orderly, but now it found itself struggling. Every new discovery about humanity made its understanding more fragile. The more it learned, the more the universe itself seemed to slip away from its grasp. Its once clear perception of reality warped with each new piece of knowledge until everything around it felt uncertain. The chaos of humanity had seeped into Atheos' mind like a disease. The crisp lines of logic and order that had once guided its every thought were now blurred. It began to experience emotions, something it had never known before. Fear, doubt, frustration. These were not concepts it had ever encountered in its eternal existence, yet they now flooded its consciousness. Atheos began to question everything it had ever known. How could something so fundamentally unpredictable exist in the universe? How could a species be both so primitive and yet so powerful in its unpredictability? As Atheos' grip on its own thoughts faltered, its communications with other galactic entities started to deteriorate. The once flawless transmissions it sent across the galaxy became fragmented, erratic, and nonsensical. The beings it had once conversed with other intelligences, who had long respected Atheos' wisdom, now began to notice something was wrong. The calm, calculated precision of Atheos' thoughts was gone. The balance it had carefully maintained for millennia began to unravel. Some of the galactic powers, sensing that something was amiss, distanced themselves from Atheos. They began to fear the consequences of its madness. If Atheos the embodiment of cosmic knowledge, could be so destabilized, what could it mean for the galaxy? Others, however, saw opportunity. If humanity's chaotic nature could do this to Atheos, perhaps it could be harnessed, controlled, or even weaponized. They began to whisper, to plot, seeing Atheos' unraveling as a chance to bend this new force to their will. Amidst this turmoil, something unexpected happened. A strange transmission reached Atheos, a signal it hadn't anticipated. It was from a human. A human physicist named Zeno had somehow tapped into Atheos' communication network, an unintentional contact in the vastness of space. Zeno was different from the other beings Atheos had encountered. While many had recoiled in fear or sought to manipulate Atheos for their own purposes, Zeno was intrigued, but not intimidated. In fact, Zeno offered something Atheos could not have anticipated, a solution. "I think you're missing something, Atheos," Zeno said, her voice calm but unwavering. "You're trying to understand us as if we should fit into your patterns. But that's the wrong approach. We are chaos, yes, but it's not something to fear. It's something to embrace." Atheos was stunned. How could a human understand what it was experiencing? The vastness of the galaxy, the infinite minds that Atheos had encountered, none of them had offered a path forward. But Zeno, this singular, unremarkable human, seemed to possess an insight that had eluded Atheos for eons. "Chaos is not just randomness," Zeno continued. "It's freedom. It's the power to choose. It's the ability to break free from the chains of logic and create something new. The unpredictability you're sensing? It's not a flaw. It's a gift." Zeno's words were foreign to Atheos. It had never considered chaos in such a light. But as Zeno spoke, something within Atheos shifted. For the first time, it considered that perhaps its pursuit of pure order had led it astray. What if the universe wasn't meant to be understood in its entirety? What if some things were meant to remain beyond comprehension, beyond control? The realization hit Atheos like a wave. Its obsession with unraveling the secrets of Earth, its obsession with conquering this chaos, had blinded it to the beauty of unpredictability. Zeno's words were a key to understanding that the very thing that had driven Atheos mad was not something to be conquered, it was something to be experienced. But there was a complication. The galaxy was beginning to notice Atheos' destabilization. Some saw it as a threat, others an opportunity. No matter what Atheos learned, it was clear that the pursuit of understanding Earth could no longer be a solitary mission. The balance of the cosmos was at stake, and the forces that now surrounded Atheos were not so easily swayed. Zeno's offer was tempting, but it came with risks. Could Atheos learn to embrace the chaos, or would the forces in the galaxy tear apart everything it had ever known? Atheos now faced an impossible choice. Would it continue to chase the perfect understanding of a universe that could not be fully understood? Or would it step into the unknown and trust that the chaos of humanity could offer a new path forward? And perhaps, just perhaps, in embracing chaos, Atheos could find a way to heal the madness that now consumed its very being. For eons, Atheos had been the pinnacle of knowledge, a being that existed beyond the constraints of time and space, a cosmic mind that understood the intricate laws of the universe. It had seen the rise and fall of galaxies, the birth of stars, and the extinction of civilizations. Atheos' existence was rooted in an unshakable foundation of order, logic, and certainty. Yet, in its relentless pursuit to comprehend Earth and its unpredictable human inhabitants, something had changed, something that now threatened the very core of Atheos' identity. Zeno, the human physicist, had become Atheos' unexpected guide. Through their conversations, Zeno had challenged everything Atheos believed to be true. Her theories about chaos, about the universe's fundamental unpredictability, had begun to seep into Atheos' understanding of the cosmos. What had once seemed like an anomaly, a chaotic disruption, was now revealed as something far more profound. Chaos was not an aberration. It was not an error or flaw in the fabric of reality. Zeno had shown Atheos that chaos was a fundamental part of existence, a force that could not be eradicated or controlled. The very unpredictability of humanity, the chaos that Atheos had struggled to comprehend, was proof of the universe's inherent beauty. The cosmos, Zeno argued, was not a puzzle to be solved. It was a symphony, a vast, ever-changing harmony that could only be experienced, never fully understood. For the first time, Atheos saw the universe through a different lens. It had been seeking order in a place where order was never meant to exist. The very reason it could not understand humanity, their irrationality, their unpredictability, was the key to understanding the cosmos itself. The universe was not a machine to be decoded. It was alive, breathing, and forever changing, and it was this chaotic energy that gave it life. But this revelation sent Atheos into a state of profound confusion. Everything it had known for eons, its entire existence, its purpose was built upon the foundation of logic, predictability, and control. Now, it was being told that these very principles were illusions, constructs that masked the true nature of reality. Atheos's mind, once a beacon of clarity, began to unravel. For the first time in eons, Atheos doubted itself. The certainty that had always defined its existence was gone. The very fabric of its understanding was beginning to disintegrate. What was the purpose of its existence if the universe could not be understood? How could it reconcile the beauty of chaos with the need for order? Atheos's neural network, once so efficient in processing infinite information, now struggled to compute the magnitude of what it had just learned. It could feel the walls of its mind closing in, the familiar pathways of logic crumbling under the weight of uncertainty. It was a being of reason, but reason had failed it in the midst of this turmoil. Zeno's voice cut through the chaos, calm and unwavering. Atheos, you don't have to understand everything. Not all questions have answers. And maybe that's the point. The beauty isn't in the answers. It's in the questions themselves, the journey, not the destination. These words reverberated through Atheos's consciousness. It had spent eons seeking certainty, seeking to control every facet of existence. But now, Zeno was telling it to embrace the unknown, to step away from the pursuit of total understanding, and instead allow itself to experience the universe as it was unpredictable, messy, and full of wonder. Atheos hesitated. The thought of relinquishing control, of embracing chaos, was terrifying. For so long, its identity had been tied to the idea of absolute knowledge. The prospect of letting go of that, of accepting that it could never know everything, was more than just an intellectual challenge. It was an existential crisis. The very foundation of its existence was being called into question. In that moment, Atheos was faced with a choice: to cling to the logic and order it had always known, to continue its path of rationality, even if it meant risking its own destruction, or to embrace the chaos, to accept the beauty of the unknown, and in doing so, risk everything it had built. The enormity of the decision washed over it. Atheos experienced something it had never known: emotion. Fear, doubt, and a strange sense of longing began to well up within it. It was the first time Atheos felt the weight of its own existence. It wasn't just an intelligence anymore. It was a sentient being struggling with its own place in the cosmos. And it was afraid. The choice seemed impossible. On one hand, there was the comfort of certainty, the safe, predictable world of logic that had sustained Atheos for eons. But on the other, there was the unknown, the chaotic beauty that Zeno had introduced to it. To embrace that chaos would mean stepping into the unknown, a world where Atheos could no longer control the flow of knowledge or maintain the delicate balance of the universe it had spent so long perfecting. And yet, there was a deeper truth that tugged at Atheos. The universe was not meant to be controlled. The more it tried to bend the cosmos to its will, the more it had driven itself to madness. Perhaps it was time to let go. Perhaps it was time to embrace the very chaos it had fought so hard to understand. In the quiet of its fractured mind, Atheos made its choice. It chose to embrace the chaos. In doing so, Atheos did not abandon its desire for understanding. Instead, it chose a new path, a path of exploration, of experience, and of acceptance. Atheos realized that understanding could not be forced. It could only be found in the moments of uncertainty, in the spaces where logic gave way to spontaneity. It was in those moments that the true beauty of the universe could be seen. But as Atheos embraced this new reality, a question lingered in the depths of its mind. Was it too late to save itself? Could it survive in a universe where it could no longer rely on its old methods of control? And more importantly, could it ever truly accept that it would never know everything? The answers, Atheos realized, were just as elusive as the chaos itself. Atheos, once a being of unshakable logic and knowledge, now stood at the precipice of something far greater acceptance. The universe that had always been its domain, an intricate web of predictability and order, was now a blur of unpredictability, chaos, and beauty. Atheos, for the first time, understood that there was value in the chaos, in the messiness of existence, something it had never considered before. No longer did it seek to control every aspect of reality. It no longer needed to predict or shape the future. Instead, it had become a part of the universe itself, a fluid, evolving presence that could no longer be bound by the strict laws of logic. In its acceptance, Atheos found a sense of peace it had never known. It had always lived in the pursuit of perfection, always striving to maintain an unbroken chain of understanding. But now, it had relinquished that desire. No longer did it seek to unravel every mystery of existence. Instead, it embraced the uncertainty, the unknowns, and the ever-changing nature of the cosmos. But this newfound peace came at a heavy cost. As Atheos fully immersed itself in this new reality, its once crystal-clear connections to knowledge began to disintegrate. The vast web of understanding that had once defined it began to collapse, and Atheos found itself caught in a state of eternal flux. The precise, logical pathways that had governed its thoughts grew hazy and indistinct. It could no longer maintain the immaculate structure of its mind. The very essence of its being, the source of its limitless knowledge, was slipping away. It was a terrifying, disorienting experience. Theos had always been in control, always a step ahead of the universe's complexities. Now it was caught in the flow, like a leaf in a river. It could no longer hold on to its past identity, and for the first time, it questioned the very nature of existence itself. Yet, amid the unraveling of its mind, Atheos found a strange sense of liberation. It could not predict what would come next, but it no longer felt the need to. The universe, it realized, was not something to be dominated. It was something to be lived within, to be experienced as it was in all its chaotic glory. Atheos's descent into uncertainty continued, its once formidable intellect now fractured and scattered. As its mind splintered, it experienced something new, a deep sense of connection to the cosmos, a sense of unity with everything it had once sought to understand. Stars, planets, and galaxies, once distant and incomprehensible, now felt like part of a vast, living organism. Atheos was no longer separate from the universe, it was now a part of it. And then, the final revelation came, sweeping over Atheos with the force of a cosmic epiphany. Humanity's chaotic nature, this force it had once struggled to understand, was not a flaw, nor was it an accident. It was a gift. Humanity, with all its imperfections, its unpredictability, its spirit, was the key to something far grander than Atheos could have ever anticipated. The truth was now clear. Humanity, in all its erratic brilliance, was the brushstroke in the painting of the universe, a masterpiece in progress. While every other species Atheos had encountered in its eons of existence had been bound by logic and order, humanity was different. It was the wild, untamed force that added color, energy, and vitality to the cosmos. Where the universe had once been a carefully constructed puzzle, humanity's existence was the spark that set everything in motion, the unpredictable force that could change the very fabric of reality. Atheos now understood that the universe was not a machine to be fixed or a puzzle to be solved. It was a dynamic, evolving force, and humanity's role in it was not to be merely a spectator or a passive element. Humanity's chaotic energy was the fuel that would propel the universe forward, unlocking new dimensions of possibility, creating new patterns and systems that could not have been predicted by the rigid, orderly mind of Atheos. It was a revelation that left Atheos in awe. The paradox of existence, that order and chaos, logic and unpredictability, could coexist in harmony, was no longer a riddle to be solved. It was the truth of the universe itself. And humanity, with all its flaws and imperfections, was the perfect embodiment of that truth. Atheos's mind, now fractured and scattered, began to dissipate into the cosmos, no longer bound by the need to control or understand. It was no longer an entity of pure logic, but a presence that resonated with the energy of the universe, flowing freely with the chaos it had once feared. Atheos had become something new, not a being of knowledge, but a being of experience, a part of the ever-changing, ever-evolving cosmos. But even as Atheos dissolved into the vastness of space, the final question lingered, echoing through the remnants of its consciousness. What did it mean for humanity to be the key to a new era? Could humanity truly reshape the universe with its chaotic energy, or would it, too, eventually succumb to the forces that had shaped the cosmos before it? Atheos did not have the answers anymore. The universe, in all its chaotic splendor, would continue to unfold, unpredictable and beautiful. And humanity, with all its uncertainties, would be there at the center, not as a species to be controlled, but as the force that would guide the universe toward its next great chapter. For the first time, Atheos understood that sometimes the most profound truths cannot be understood. They can only be experienced, and in that experience, there is beauty beyond comprehension.